This is my state, this is my team. You know what that means. This is for the black and blue that I bleed. This is for the chance to bring home that ring. But everybody gonna doubt this. So far there ain't been another way around it. We bring heat to the game each week. They just say we ain't got what it takes, we ain't bout it. Well, y'all can just keep saying that we ain't gonna make it, but at the end of the day, this will be the Panthers nation. You know, this ain't a game to us major players at every angle that you can think of. That's why you hate us. Get out the way of greatness. You can look at our faces and see the blood, sweat, and tears that it took to create this. Yeah, I know what you're thinking, but you can save it. Cause even on the darkest of days, you know we're always gonna find a way to tell them what we gon' do, we gotta
Welcome on in, welcome on in, welcome on in. For a very, very special stream that we're going to start doing every week, which is learning about the players that are draftable, as well as today we're going to be talking about the fact that Tepper decided to move training camp back to Charlotte, North Carolina. I'll give my thoughts on that and what we're going to do as a channel. But first of all, hit that like button, hit that sub button, hit that bell, select all, leave a comment down below if you feel like doing so. And don't forget to check out the Facebook group page. Keep pounding in all caps for in-game posts, polls, opinions, and reactions to NFL news, as well as scheduling for the channel and for the Fantasy Football League in Yahoo Sports. Alright, let's get into the content. Ladies and gents, the crazy owner, Mr. Tepper, has now decided he wants to move training camp to Charlotte, North Carolina. Man, shout out to Sean Bradham on Facebook. How you doing, Manny? But this is frustrating on a number of levels. You just decided in two illustrious stone throws here to, number one, show everybody that this is not just two states. This is only North Carolina. You're disrespecting the state of South Carolina by putting the Fan Fest down here. What does that accomplish? What are you actually trying to accomplish here, Mr. Tepper? Because I don't understand it. I don't get it. This is frustrating for me. Let me say something and let me be very, very clear on this. You did not create this team, sir. Mr. Tepper, you did not create this team. Jerry Richardson did. And what he did was, first of all, he established both states, not just one, both states. And I know that these one-stater people from either state are not going to want to hear this, and I don't care. It's both states. What do you think I put the logo as I did, for this stream? I put this picture up for a reason. Because the first inaugural season we ever played was in Clemson, South Carolina, in the Death Valley Stadium. And guess where, folks? South Carolina. So, South Carolina was an integral part of why this franchise is as successful as it is now. We were created to embody those beliefs of integrity, love, enjoyment of the sport, and it was fan created. It was for the fans. He didn't have to do that. He chose to. For the people of the Carolinas. And my whole thing is, when you have connections to Wofford, South Carolina, the way Jerry Richardson did, and all of the success that he had with training camp in Wofford, South Carolina, why would you move it, Mr. Tepper? Why? Why? For what reason? Alright, first of all, this hurts a lot of different people. Starting with the event staff that have been able to put this whole thing together for you every single year and have done an excellent job every year. Can I just say that? I would hire that event staff to handle actual concerts at venues. They're always happy, they're always kind, they always have a big smile on their face, They always know what they're doing, and they always get you parked safely. I have never once had an issue with the event staff. Never once. At all. These people are incredible folks. So, with that in mind, this hurts them. Secondly, this hurts the people that have been coming from different states to watch this team practice. They don't get but one chance to come and check these guys out. And if you're from Georgia, South Carolina, Florida, you'll get your opportunity, And they drive over there to Wofford, and it's an easy situation for them. The parking has never been an issue. I have rarely ever heard any issues coming out of Wofford. Ever. If any at all. The only time that we have had an issue was when people start... when they stopped videotaping there. And I mean, everybody went ape about that. Which, guess what? That happened during your tenure, Mr. Tepper. Not Mr. Richardson's, yours. So, not only did you take away the videotaping, which has been a major tool of how I've been able to gather in subscribers. I don't think people realize a fourth of the subscribers that we have here came about here and stuck by us because of those videos. We had thousands of views on those videos. Now, I'm not saying that people weren't using them against us, to figure out, okay, this is how we want to practice too, to counter what they're practicing in drills. The thing is, these were the same exact drills that everybody else was running. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. I'm not even going to get into that subject, because I'll be here an hour just on that subject alone. Secondly, now you're going to take away training camp completely out of South Carolina. So not only did you fail to build us a training camp place in York County, now you have taken it completely out of the state of South Carolina. For what reason, Mr. Tepper? From what I hear, they're going to take down the bubble and they're going to have training camp up in Charlotte. Well, what about the people that have to travel 2 or 3 hours to get there? And the fact that this starts at like 8 or 9 in the morning means people have to buy hotel rooms up there, which costs $100 a pop. Plus gas money that they have to spend getting up there from South Carolina. This is absurd. I'm frustrated. I'm angry. And it's absurd. You've basically just taken the biggest tool out of my tool belt to understand this team. And to be able to evaluate this team. In person. So, at this point, how am I supposed to understand what I'm doing with if I can't check these guys out in person? I've got to use the eye test as well as the stat test. Okay? You can't just... You got to look at the whole picture, guys. This is what it takes to evaluate these players properly. And understand your team. So, when you take this out of South Carolina, I'm not able to do that anymore. My best chance of doing that is maybe twice a year. Twice a year during that month. Maybe 3. 3 times. As opposed to 6 times when I could get daily videos out for you guys. Evaluating our progress. And evaluating players' progress. That could be surprise potential players. That need to be addressed and looked at. Maybe I'll spot a problem. Maybe I'll spot a player that needs to be elevated. You don't know until you're able to actually eyeball these guys yourself. And to be able to take that tool out of my tool belt is incredibly frustrating. I just... Not all of us can get up to Charlotte every single day of the year and evaluate these players. Not only that, We practiced in 98-degree weather. 98-degree weather, ladies and gentlemen. That's an advantage, weather-wise, for us. Because guess what happens when these teams that practice in domes and in cold weather situations come down here and they can't handle the heat and they start making mistakes? We hold a slight advantage when it comes to that. But for how long? Because our team's mismanagement always costs us. So it balances out. So here's my issue with that. Now that you're practicing in Charlotte, North Carolina, you've lost that temperature advantage. And that weather advantage. So now what? This is yet another stupid thing we have done. I have tried to be patient with you, Mr. Tepper. I have tried to work with you. I have tried to get on the same page with you. About trying to fix this team. You just don't seem to want to do that. Okay. Fine. That's what we're doing now, then. If that's what we're doing now, this means I have to rely on somebody that's randomly on the sidelines for you and for your organization representing the media, who has a media badge and a camera, to tell me what this team is and what it isn't. How many media people can I actually trust up in Charlotte right now? Maybe 2 or 3. I trust Charlotte Vibe. I like him. There's maybe 2 or 3, but that's it. The rest of them clearly don't understand our team and keep asking the same dumb questions, rephrasing the same question over and over again in 20 million different ways when you've already noticed that the coach or player will not answer the question and keeps dodging them like the Matrix. And we're supposed to trust these reporters to tell us who our team is? I don't think so. That puts a... Oh boy. Y'all grinding my gears with this one, y'all. He is grinding my gears with this move. There's nothing positive about this. Nothing. Nothing. I can't find a single positive thing where this helps us. I don't know if you guys can. I can't. This hurts our channel. A lot of the success that we started building on to create this channel was built on the training camp videos. That's our bread and butter right there. I'm so disappointed that he would make that choice and that decision. Very disappointed in you, Mr. Tepper. As for the Fan Fest, I could care less where the Fan Fest is held. You could put that up in New York for all I care. I really don't care. What I'm here for is the training camp exercises. Which the FanFest is a glorified training camp day, if you think about it. It's just a lighthearted training camp day. So, I mean, maybe I might get a day to watch that down here. But one day versus 12, where I could watch them and properly evaluate this team and properly understand what I'm looking at and watch the progression of these players throughout training camp. Can you see the difference here, folks? This is the day I've been afraid of. Because Mr. Tepper has been meddling so much. And moving training camp out of Spartanburg, South Carolina is meddling. That's not getting to know your team. That's meddling. Where you don't need to be meddling. Get your hand out of the cookie jar, Mr. Tepper. For real. Either appoint somebody to do this for you or sell the doggone team, because this is insanity. We have gotten progressively worse since you arrived. Progressively worse. There's no defending you anymore, Mr. Tepper. I'm done defending you. You just made an enemy of me by making this move right here. Now I'm pissed. This is unacceptable. As a fan, this is unacceptable. Oh, not to mention, this also hurts the businesses in Spartanburg, too. Businesses such as Mustard Sub and Grub, which we actually streamed out of this year. Which the owner is a massive Panthers fan. So they're about to lose all of that business that they would have gotten from training camp now. Oh, not to mention, we just broke the attendance record again with the Jets practices. Again, folks. And if your issue is with the attendance and how many people are ending up there, and we can't handle that many people, put them in the stadium right next door. You literally have a gigantic stadium right next door to those practice fields. On the same grounds. Literally 50 feet away. Don't tell me you can't handle that attendance. Don't tell me you can't handle that. You got billions of dollars, Mr. Tepper. Billions of dollars in hedge fund money. And you can't handle a staff like that? You can't hire more people to handle that? For God's sakes, man. Get a grip. Get a grip on yourself and figure out that this is not the best thing for this team in this franchise. This is quite the opposite. You're going in the wrong direction. I wanted to make sure that I included all those people, man. That this hurts business-wise. Look at all the restaurants that were getting business during that month. Look at all the small businesses that people went shopping and spent money to help out the city of Spartanburg, South Carolina. Not to mention the neighboring city of Greenville, South Carolina. and Clemson, South Carolina as well. This impacts all three. And several other upstate cities as well. Economically. I know it may look like a small trickle of money right now, but it adds up. Since you're a businessman, Mr. Tepper, I had to put that into terms that you might understand. No, you're not making money off of training camp, but these businesses are. You're a fool. You're a fool, Mr. Tepper. You're an absolute fool. You don't know what you're meddling with. You really don't know what you're meddling with, sir. This franchise was here before you. You tried to get rid of Keep Pounding. You tried to screw over the fans. You have now taken training camp out of South Carolina and disrespected the fans in South Carolina. You've hurt the businesses in South Carolina. You've hurt the event staff in Wofford. You've destroyed so many opportunities for a lot of people to gather and meet as YouTubers and fans by doing this. This is how I met a few of these YouTubers, actually. And at least half a dozen of these subscribers I met in person and told them about this channel in person at training camp. That's my main marketing area. That's where I make money. Guys, you don't seem to understand how major this is for this channel and for what we're trying to do. And for this franchise and for the cities. Now people have to actually travel up to Charlotte, get hotel rooms, spend an extra $100 that they don't need to spend, plus gas money, which is what, $40, $50 on top of that? That's $150 you're already spending just to see one day of training camp. And that's without even buying a ticket. Some of these other training camp places have prices on their training camps. We don't even sell tickets. We are now one of 3 teams in the NFL that will hold their training camp practices in the state, the city that they have their franchise team in, with their stadium. 3. You want to learn about this team? Come down to a training camp in Wofford. 98-degree heat. Listen to these players. You will learn more on those days than you will ever learn throughout an entire calendar year of watching this team play on the field and having meetings. I have learned more about these people than I have ever learned while watching games on TV. By watching their body language in person. Watching them do interviews in person. Watching them prowl the sidelines and yakking on those mics in person. And these little reality TV show things that you keep putting out, the Camp Confidential things, that's only going to show you so much about these guys because it clips out a lot of stuff. So now we have to rely on some media person that doesn't have an attention to detail, that has no idea what they're even looking at half the time. And they're going to tell us what we should be looking at and who these guys are. Try again. No, try again. This is not enough for me. I don't find that acceptable. I don't find that's the least bit acceptable. And trust me, if I'm able to get up there to that protest against the Buccaneers, I'm joining them. Now I've got a reason to. I wasn't exactly against the protest before, but now I'm definitely for it. I'm doggone joining them. You know why? Because, Mr. Tepper, you have made this team a train wreck since you have come in and become an owner here. Give me one good reason why this man should still own this team. At this point. Give me one good reason. Because I can give you several reasons why he shouldn't. I got a whole doggone laundry list of why he should not. At this point. You're pissed off because we couldn't win one game, Mr. Tepper? Welcome to the freaking club because we've been here for 8 years, sir. Welcome to the club. Let me pour you a drink. We've been sitting in this club for 8 years, dog. Welcome to the party. And you think you're justified in getting pissed off when you're the one that hired this head coach in the first place? You're the one moving us out of 98-degree heat training camp? You're the one that wants to, where we can actually train properly and learn more about our players properly. You're the one that wants to go after some quote-unquote offensive-minded head coach when there's mostly defensive coaches that want to be head coach right now. You're the one that decided that he did not want to pay to handle grass on the field instead of turf. You're the one that is ruining small businesses in York County right now. And wasted billions of of Charlotte taxpayers' money on that training facility that never even was fully built. You are the one that decided that you want to meddle and tell everybody what quarterback to draft. Your word is gold, huh? No, Mr. Tepper, I'm done giving you second chances. I'm done. I'm done defending you. And don't use your wife as an excuse. Oh, your wife is helping out with the community in Charlotte. Guess what? So were so many other people that were working under Jerry Richardson. That's not an excuse for you to still own this team, sir. Sell it. Because you don't know what you're doing. You have no clue who you're meddling with. You won't even be bothered to come down for any practices, none of the team meetings, nothing. And you want to, even just to listen in. I just want him to listen and learn as much as he can. You don't have to interact, just listen. And you'll learn way more than you think you'll ever learn as an owner about this franchise. You won't take the trip down here to Wofford, and stay down here for the training camp to learn about these players and what these coaches are doing, so that you can hire a decent head coach that will actually do what he's supposed to do. Yet we, the fans, keep getting screwed over by you and by your $1 billion ego that you can't seem to get out of the shadow of. You're over 2 head coaches now. Idiotic head coaches that don't belong in the league at all. They have no business being an NFL head coach. At all. And to be fair on Frank, we all got absolutely Houdini there. Alright, so to be fair. But you should have done your homework on this dude. Alright? The Colts didn't do their homework. They got screwed over. We didn't do our homework. We got screwed over. We got rid of the guy. And every coach on this coaching staff that has ever wanted this interim tag job knows they're on a dummy mission if they try to take this job. They know they are. That's why they don't take it. Only Campen was smart enough to take it because he knows he's not going to get that job. He knows he's going to go right back to special teams head coach. Special teams coach. Everybody knows that they're not getting it. You're going to hire some idiot outside of the Panthers organization, somebody that doesn't even deserve this job, that doesn't understand how to use timeouts, challenges, doesn't even bother to play the right players, and leaves people on the bench. This is the stuff you don't seem to understand, Mr. Tepper. And you want to try to tell us that we are oh my goodness. You want to try to tell us that you're frustrated? Man, please. Miss me with that. Miss me with that frustration. I'm done. I'm honestly done. Y'all, Mr. Tepper, you and your wife seem like very, very nice people. And again, I would have a very, very kind and considerate conversation with you. And respectful conversation. But as soon as we start talking about this franchise and how to properly run it, we are on totally different pages, sir. Totally different pages. And it shows. I have tried to point this stuff out to you. I have tried to give you every tool that I can give you to try to save this franchise. And you don't want them. Yet, instead, you want to use my line about complacency out of context. You want to abuse that statement and be hypocritical with it. No. No, that's not going to fly with me, sir. That's not gonna fly with me, sir. I've given you chance after chance after chance, and you just don't seem to want to take them. So no, I'm done. I'm done defending you. Whatever these people have to say to you, let it fly. Let the toxicity fly. Because at this point, you deserve all of it. For all the stupid things you've done for this franchise. You deserve every bit of the heat that's coming at you during that protest. And otherwise. I'm beyond frustrated as a Panthers fan right now. I'm beyond frustrated. I'm pissed off. I'm angry. And something's got to change. I am to the point where either you advocate somebody to take care of this franchise for you, or you sell this team. One of the two needs to happen. This path that we are on cannot continue. You cannot continue to be the operations manager of this team when you do not understand what you are operating, sir. It is clearly cut and dry for me. It's either one or the other. I'm done hearing everybody's debates about you. I'm done. I'm to the point where I actually avoided Panthers related content for a couple of days because I needed a break. I needed a break this week, y'all. I've been that pissed off. And then I see that in my newsfeed about you moving the training camp. Excuse me, sir? No, the proper thing would have been to extend that time with Wofford for another 2 years until you can figure out what you want to do with your training camp. Now, after that point, if you can't figure it out still after that point, okay, fine. But keep us updated and let us know what is going on right now. I got this shirt at training camp. I got this shirt at training camp in your merch store, sir. That's right, Smitty. You read the name. You read the number. These were Hall of Fame players. That's the only thing I've seen you do right. Is honoring those players so far and putting that Panther on the midfield. But anybody could do that. Anybody could walk in here and own this team and do that. Anybody could run that community right now that Mrs. Tepper is helping out with. Literally any owner can walk into that locker room and learn about these players. And understand what they have just bought. And paid for. And make better head coaching decisions than you. It is time to let this go. You've done enough, Mr. Tepper. Get your hand out of the cookie jar. Stop meddling. Now, let me be clear. There's a massive difference between learning about your franchise that you paid for and meddling. Learning about your franchise includes going to practices, training camps, meetings, etc. You know, learning who these people are. building connections with them. You know, if you've got a random suggestion that you think might help us, fine. We'll take it into consideration. We don't have to use your suggestions, though. You know? But it's advice. You know? That's not meddling to me. That's just offering a suggestion. Okay, I suggest we draft this person. Or I suggest we do such and such. I'm cool with that. If my owner says that he wants to do that, I'm cool with it. If he understands the team and he understands the franchise and what he's bought, cool. I have zero problem with that. Request whatever you want. But let these coaches do their job. That's when you start meddling. That's when you start crossing the line. When you try to tell the coach, oh, coach this way. You know, when he's already been doing it a certain way. When you tell an offensive coordinator, call these certain plays. That's meddling. When you tell your head coach who to draft and your GM who to draft without suggesting it and requesting it. No, you told him who to draft. You put your foot down and had final say. That's meddling. When you move this team out of Spartanburg, South Carolina for training camp, that is meddling, sir. That is the difference between learning your team and meddling. Please learn the difference between these two things before you ever try to make any more decisions in Carolina. I'm fed up. I'm out of cares to give for this man. I really am. I'm out of cares to give. I'm out of sympathy for you. You dug your own grave. You put yourself in it. You nailed the coffin shut. Now you gotta lie there. In the grave that you already built. I don't want to hear any complaints from you about this protest, Mr. Tepper, because clearly you're not understanding why we're protesting in the first place. I'm done hearing the excuses. I'm done hearing the garbage that comes out of every person's mouth in this organization that doesn't know what they're doing, besides the people that do. I'm done with it. That's why I'm done. I'm not reacting to press conferences this year. I'm not doing it. There's no reason to. Because all you're going to hear is the same typical broken record garbage and recycled nonsense about how we're not consistently playing, oh, we're not executing, this, that, and the third. I'm done with it. I'm done with it, sir. You dug your own grave, now you're gonna lie in it. And these fans are pissed. All of us are. And we're pissed at you. Since 2019, we have the worst record in 4 different sports. 4 different major league sports in America. Thanks to you. Why any of us are still fans here I don't know. Why we have stuck around for as long as we have, I don't know. But we're still here. That's up to each one of us individually why we're still sticking around. But that's loyalty. That's dedication, that's loyalty. You know, when Detroit went through their 20-year drought or more, look at all the fans that were still in that stadium. That's loyalty. But they were loyal to a whole bunch of lies and nonsense. Jets fans up in New York, they stuck it out for 20 plus years too. Their team wasn't successful for that amount of time, and yet they stuck around. Why? Some misplaced sense of loyalty. That's where we're heading, folks. However many of us stick around, that's loyalty. But what are we actually loyal to? I'll tell you what we should be loyal to, the Keep Pounding mantra. Not the organization itself, the Keep Pounding mantra. Because the Keep Pounding mantra is the only thing keeping the spirit of this franchise alive. With barely a heartbeat, when we're in a deep, dark coma that we haven't seemed to find our way out of. The only thing keeping us alive is the words of Steve Smith, Greg Olson, Thomas Davis, Luke Kuechly, people that have been here, Jake Delhomme, Leslie Walls, and the great Sam Mills himself. That's the only thing that is the heartbeat of this team and the fans themselves. Most importantly, because this franchise was built around us. Without these things, this team doesn't have a heartbeat anymore. We may as well be dead. We may as well move the city out of Charlotte. This team out of Charlotte at that point. But no. No. We're still here. That mantra is still here. It survived. No thanks to you, Mr. Tepper, but it survived. Don't try to substitute a virtual reality Panther for the Keep Pounding mantra. In what parallel universe did you think that was going to work? In what parallel universe did you think that these Panther fans were actually going to appreciate that and like that? More than the Keep Pounding mantra. That doesn't replace it, sir. That's a bonus to what we already know and what we already feel. You know, the interesting thing is, when Jerry Richardson sold this team to you, he was supposed to sell it to somebody that actually cared about these players, this franchise. Everything in it was his child, man. It was his child that he gave away to the next owner. He created this franchise, y'all. That's why there's a statue sitting outside of the stadium for Mr. Richardson. Now, there's some people that wanted to take that down because of what he did. Fair enough. But at the end of the day, he created this franchise. Built on the core principles of Keep Pounding, the kindness of the fans, the love and loyalty of the fans, their passion for football in the NFL, and for their loyalty. So when you try to take down the keep pounding mantra, Mr. Tepper, that's what you're doing. You're destroying that, the heartbeat of this franchise. And it's not acceptable. This is what I built my channel on. Was that mantra. That's the foundation of this channel and this page that you're watching these streams on right now. To watch an owner come in here and do the complete polar opposite of what he said he's going to do for this franchise and destroy everything that Mr. Richardson had built. Every building block of it pisses me off royally as a fan. And then I'm hearing reports that Steve Smith said that he thinks Mr. Tepper might be going after Belichick. Excuse me? Like, don't even get me started on that one. We'll be here for another hour just on that alone. I want to actually get to some real content today, which is learning about these draftable players. But no, instead I got to use the entire first hour of this stream complaining about the garbage that you have put forward, Mr. Tepper. And letting the dog off the leash of this fan base at you. Because there's nothing more I can do anymore to keep them at bay. You've had this coming for a while now. And there's nothing I can do anymore. So as far as I'm concerned, feel free. Feel free. Let the dog off the leash, folks. Let him know how you feel. Because I'm done. I'm done wasting my energy trying to protect you, Mr. Tepper. I'm done. There's nothing defendable anymore about you as an owner. Now, you as a person, I will defend you all day long. Because you as a person, you're a good person. You're a good human being. But that's not what we're complaining about. We're complaining about you being an owner of this franchise. You paid billions of dollars for this franchise. Let's not confuse the two, sir. Let's never confuse the two. What we're complaining about is you as an owner. Now, as a person, I would sit down and I would have lunch with you and have a conversation with you, and I would be glad to have a pleasant conversation with you and your wife. I would have zero problem doing that. You know? But don't turn that conversation towards this franchise. Just don't. Just don't. I'll talk about whatever movies, whatever music you want to listen to. You know, anything else other than this franchise, name the topic, and I'm down to discuss it. But as soon as it goes back to this franchise, topic-wise, I'm going to give you my honest opinion. And you're not going to like it. It's just that simple. Like, I'm a kind-hearted man. It takes a lot to piss me off. You know? I have a lot of patience. As a Panthers fan. And as a human being. But there are some lines you just don't cross. with my fandom. Getting rid of our training camp, that's one of them. You have royally screwed up, sir. And this just, it ain't just about me, though. It ain't about me. Sure, I've got the gas money to actually travel up to Charlotte and get those hotel rooms. You know what I'm saying? But do I? No. Do I have the money to go after, to go up there and watch games? Actual Panthers games? No. Because I got bills to pay, sir. I got bills to pay. Matter of fact, I just got one in the mail today. You're going to make it that much more difficult for me to see the team that I love and evaluate this team and save it for you when you don't even deserve it as an owner. That grinds my gears. That grinds my gears, sir. I'm sorry, but it does. Let me tell you something. When I'm trying to get new subscribers for this channel, you know what topics they come up with? Do you realize the topics of conversation that come up? The first one is about you. That's right. Surprise, surprise. It's about you, Mr. Tapper. And about how much you've ruined this franchise. The second one is about our record right now. Our winning record right now. In all 4 sports since 2019. The third topic is about how you forced your hand and forced us to draft Bryce Young, even though Frank wanted CJ Stroud. Honestly, I don't give a rip about what Frank wanted. I care about what the rest of the franchise wanted. And I don't approve of you putting your foot down on who we should draft. If everybody's on board with Bryce Young, I'm down with it. But don't cram your decision down everybody's throat. That's not acceptable. That's some Jerry Richardson stuff, man. No, not Jerry Richardson stuff. I mean, Jerry Jones stuff over in Dallas. That's some Jerry Jones nonsense right there. That's what that is. When you cram decisions down people's throats in this management, and you say, I want this, I want that, you sound like a 10-year-old kid on Christmas morning. He's mad that he didn't get the presents he wanted. Oh, boo-hoo-hoo. Guess who's paying your salaries down here? It's the Charlotte taxpayers, and it's us that are paying these players' salaries, these management salaries. Yes, this comes out of our wallet. When we buy tickets, when we buy merch, when we buy food at your stadium. Yeah, all that money goes to you in profits. Okay, so now what? Now what, Mr. Tepper? Did you notice during that press conference of Mr. Tepper that he did not even want to be there? He did not even want to answer those questions. He wanted to pull a Marshawn Lynch and be like, no, not Marshawn Lynch, but what's his name? That Seattle player that was just like, I'm just here so I don't get fined. That Mr. Tepper was dodging questions like the Matrix. Did y'all notice that? Oh, I've been a long time fan in Pittsburgh. So have we, sir. But we don't go marching around saying, oh, I want this, I want that. But oh wait, our fan base does. I'm warning y'all. Y'all need to stop this stupid clown stuff, man. Our channel does the opposite. We suggest what players you should draft, what players you should go after, what you should do with your management. We have suggested things. We don't force it. If you don't do it, that's on you. That's all we can do. We don't own this team. We don't own this franchise, sir. You own this franchise. You own this team. Therefore, you are making the decisions here. So make the right ones for once. But oh wait, you've had plenty of chances to do that. So now I'm to the point where I'm just fed up. I'm fed up. I'm out of chances to give you. I'm out of cares to give. You did this to yourself. Alright, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done, y'all. I'm just gonna warn y'all right now. The one name you do not want to see crawling across your screen is Scott Fitterer being fired. I've already explained why. Some people don't want to accept it, some people do. Some people understand where I'm coming from. It is that vital to this organization that we choose the proper time when to fire him. Now is not the time. Ladies and gentlemen, the timing is not good. So Mr. Tepper finally did something right by retaining him until at least until the end of the year. But eventually you got to deal with it. Yes, I agree. Yes, he hasn't been the greatest GM ever. Yes, he has made a bunch of mistakes. But he can go in the right direction if you lead this horse to water. Yes, you can influence him in the right direction. You can get him to pick the right players. You can get him to set up this team the way you want it set up. But you got to hire the right coach to do that and be the right puppet master. You know, be the right horse tender. You can't just say, oh, well, let's just hire another idiot that has no idea how to care for a horse, and then expect that leader to lead that horse to water, to let him drink. No, 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 Mr. Tepper. Stop this. Stop this right now. You have the power to change this, Mr. Tepper, at any point that you want to. But it's got to come down to you. No one else can do this job for you. Nobody else can hire these coaches for you. This is all you. Don't rely on your wife. Make these choices yourself. With all due respect, be a man. Make your own choices. You know, and I love Mrs. Tepper. I do. But she's not the one running this organization. You are, Mr. Tepper. This is your franchise. You paid the billions of dollars for it. Out of your hedge fund money. Sculpt it and mold it the right way. You ever see those sculptors and molders when you go to like fairs and stuff, and they just half this stuff is just like horribly crafted, and they're trying to show it off like they did something wonderful with it? This is Mr. Tepper. Same with woodworkers and metal workers and glass shapers. This is Mr. Tepper in a nutshell. And he's trying to show off his work like he did something spectacular. What? No, it's just poorly made. And at the end of the day, it's just glass and wood and clay. And he's trying to facade it out there like it's something better than it actually is. When we can clearly see the overall record as 1-11 right now, after you just invested $70 million into this offense, and this is what we get out of it? $70 million. That's no amount of short chump change, folks. I don't think anybody's really seen $1 million in their life. Even the people that have been working their butts off in the middle class. And you want to tell me that we paid $70 million for this offense? Out of Charlotte taxpayer money and out of player contract money. Taking away half their contract money, by the way, to invest it into this offense. And this is what we get for it? Players, I don't blame you for not wanting to stay here. But what I'm saying is, wait it out. Let's see what coach comes along. Let's see what coach he hires. Because if he screws up again, you got my green light to leave. Don't stick around for this Titanic. Just don't. I say let it die at that point. Let it die a horrible death for the next 20 years. You got my permission to go. Seek a trade. Get something. Get something for these players. But for goodness sakes, man. If Mr. Tepper fires Scott and he hires another garbage head coach and he hires a garbage GM, leave. Just leave. Just take your money and go. Go find a team that's more competitive. Because this ain't it. You got my permission to do so. You got my green light to do so. And normally I would not suggest that. But we are in dire circumstances here as a franchise. And we got a complete moron for an owner right now when it comes to Panthers organization operations. He has no idea what he's doing. Yet he wants to meddle left and right in our operations and try to tell us what we should be doing with our franchise. Well, guess how that's worked out for us? Not well. Give up your operations of this team to somebody else or sell the team. Please. Please, I'm begging you. There are two worse situations that we could be in right now. One is coached by Bill Belichick and have everything that we have won be tainted by a lack of integrity and cheating in the league. And two, we could be in a 20-year drought, like the New York Jets, like the Cleveland Browns, like the Detroit Lions. And guess what, folks? Detroit Lions fans were such disarray during that time period that they were ready to move that NFL team out of Detroit. Yes, folks, they were just that close because of the lack of success in Detroit. The stadium degraded. The players were horrible. They were just there to get paid. That was one of the 2 or 3 teams you did not want to get drafted to. And the Arizona Cardinals are on their way to that right now. The New York Giants, for a time, were one of those teams. Where Phillip Rivers did not want to play in New York. And he asked for a trade. And went to San Diego. The rest is history. And Eli Manning made the best of that time period up there. Because guess what? They built around him with a good coaching staff. With an owner that actually gives a crap about the organization and how to run it properly. By understanding who he is hiring and what type of a culture the New York Giants were. Guess what? They went on to win 2 Super Bowls. Against guess who? The New England Patriots. Who were just, at the time, the best team in the league. By far. But, no. You want to keep doing this, Mr. Tepper? You want to keep driving us towards those 2 options? I guarantee you, people will leave. And they will leave in drones. Don't believe me? Just watch. You're doing this to yourself, Mr. Tepper. We're not doing this for you. You're doing it to yourself. You got no one else to blame but yourself at the end of this road. When these fans leave. When these players leave. When all these good coaches leave. And you're stuck with a garbage team that isn't worth jack crap for 20 years. It's not even worth walking across the street to watch. Nobody would take a free ticket to watch that game. In fact, you'd have to pay us to watch a game. That's where we would be at. And in that respect, I actually have an understanding of how Jets fans felt. Browns fans, Detroit fans, for those years. I have a total understanding of how you guys felt. Because that's the direction we're heading. And we are a hair's width away from being there. It's up to you, Mr. Tepper. Make the right decision. Get out of your own way. Get your hand out of the cookie jar. Or sell this team. Alright, I'm done. Let's get to the content. I'm done with this nonsense. Alright. So, first of all, this stream is supposed to be about learning about draftable players. You know? Any players that you guys like, drop them in chat. The name, the school, the position they play, and why you like that player. Throw them in the chat. I'm going to get the conversation started with a few of them that I've actually posted. I've actually seen commented in my post about it. And then I'll let you guys continue on from there. Alright, so we're going to start with Jared Verse, the edge rusher from Florida State. According to Clay, he's supposedly a late round first player. He's guessing maybe he falls to 33. And Kevin says in response to that, I strongly doubt he's a late first after how well he's played in big games, plus his draft position from last year. Dude is edge 2 or 3. Okay, so he's supposedly one of the best edge rushers out there, right? From what we're understanding. Now, mind you, I have not seen or heard any of these names before, so I don't know who any of these guys are that people are suggesting yet. I have not looked at the draft boards. I have not looked at anything yet. So this is brand new. This is brand spanking new for 2024. So let's get into it. Clay replies to that. I've seen 24 to 27 in a few mock drafts, and knowing Fitter, we are in on everything, quote unquote. Yeah, but we don't know what's actually going to happen there. A lot of weird things happen with drafts, so, you know, it either works out or it doesn't. So we'll start with him. So Jared Verse, right? Jared Verse. All right. So according to the Florida State website, he's listed as a defensive lineman, 6'4", 260, from Dayton, Ohio. So in 2022, he's played 12 games with 9 starts, recorded 48 tackles, including 17 tackles for loss and 9 sacks, 3 quarterback hurries, 1 fumble recovery, and 1 blocked field goal. I don't really care about the rankings. Ugh, excuse me. He was named ACC Defensive Lineman for the week of his performance against my Clemson Tigers. Recorded 4 tackles, 2.5 for loss, 1 sack against us. Against Wake Forest, who was ranked this year. Played 23 snaps on that game. Made 2 solo stops, including 12-yard sack. 1 fumble recovery return for 10 yards. Okay, so when my Tigers were ranked number 4 before all those losses, and they battled in 2022. He had 4 tackles, 1.5 for loss, 1 sack. Um, so that kind of gives you an idea. And they played Oklahoma this year as well. All right. So now we have an idea of who Jared Verse is. Cool, cool, cool. Moving on, we got Jaden Daniels, the quarterback from LSU, number 1 in the NCAA, set new records. Somehow we need to get back our first round. We gave away Bryce, those picks for Bryce Young and 2025 first round. Okay, yeah, I kind of get what he's trying to say there. It's a bit jumbled, but I get what he's trying to say. All right, so he wants us to get a quarterback somehow if we manage to get our first round pick back, which I don't see happening. The only way that's happening is if we move Brian Burns, and that I don't see us moving Brian Burns. I'm gonna be straight up with you. I don't see us moving Brian Burns at all. We've had what 3, 4 opportunities to do so, and we haven't done it. We've been given what 2 offers for 2 first rounders for him last year, and now it's a first and a third value. And we turned that down when we tried to trade for that number 1 pick with the Bears. We ended up giving away DJ instead. Okay, great. So we're staying with Brian Burns, who got mismanaged and got held back by Frank Wright, another mediocre coaching staff. And now we're like, okay, well, here's the thing. What are we doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, what? Now people are like, oh yeah, move Burns, move Burns, move Burns, because they see him getting mismanaged and treated wrong and overused. You know, when we don't put a counterpart on the other side of the field for him, and everybody's like, oh yeah, pay Burns, pay Burns, pay Burns. You know, on the other end of it, of the spectrum. Okay, so what now? What are we deciding we want to do with Burns? We can't even figure out what we want to do with Brian Burns. How is our management going to decide that when they're so divided that it's like a Game of Thrones battle? For real. I don't understand this. And y'all want us to get our number 1 pick back. The, people don't know what you're asking for. You don't know what you're asking for. Yet you want to continuously request certain things that are just not realistically possible. And I'm trying to slow y'all's roll, man. That's all I'm trying to do. And I get chewed out because of it. and treat it like my opinion doesn't matter in some of these pages and YouTube channels. And I'm like, I don't get it. I don't get it. Why y'all gotta be like this, man? Why y'all gotta be like this? And then you got these trolling people like Mr. Barry Cato here that's just like, oh, so do you feel like you could win the rest of the games? Dude, just stop with this trolling nonsense, man. You're always going to have those 2 or 3 people that think that they are better than you and are just out to try to prove you wrong. This is what being right all the time breeds. or most of the time breeds. And you know, it comes with the territory. Frankly, I don't care. I don't care what these people have to say. Because I'm only here for the content, man. I'm only here to make things better with this franchise. I'm not here to listen to people's trolling nonsense. I'm not here to be right all the time. That's not me. I'm not egotistical, folks. Stop it. Please stop it. Like, you have zero reason to try to prove me wrong constantly. Now, if you're trying to prove me wrong on how best to improve this team, you know, on certain things, that's fine. But just to do it, man, that's... no. I'm going to ignore that. I'm going to ignore that and move on. Because it ain't worth my energy. You know what I'm saying? It ain't worth my time and energy. Alright, so getting back to the content, man. Let's say we were to somehow get that first round pick back. And go after a quarterback. Should we consider Daniels as a consideration? You know, should we put his name in the hat? I'll let y'all decide. Should we do that? You know, I want y'all's opinions on him. What do you legit think about him? And why? And I mean, the other issue here is I don't think we're giving up on Bryce either, so you know what I mean? That's the other thing. Plus, Sam Howell wasn't even a first round choice, and this dude is like balling out in Washington right now. He was from North Carolina. We like our North Carolina players, right? I put his name in the hat last year when we were pick 9. But no, I guess we didn't want that. We wanted Bryce. Which, I mean, at first I was just like, okay, either Bryce or CJ, you can't go wrong. And my argument was, you know, for CJ is the fact that when you talk about Bryce Young, it's about his durability. That's why I was hesitant to go full force on Bryce, you know, full steam ahead. But now that he has shown me that he can take all those hits, and let me just show you. Hold up. Where is that post that I put up? Where is that post? Because y'all need to see this. Garrett actually came up with something pretty good to explain. Yeah, here it is. So my issue was his durability. I wasn't like gung ho on either one of these guys like everybody else was. I was like, okay, well, whichever one we pick, I'm happy with. Let's go with it. Let's try to make a franchise out of it. But we got a coaching staff that doesn't know what to do with said player. So realistically, if you don't know what to do with said player and you don't know how to work around their system or create a system that works with that player, then what are you actually accomplishing? Nothing. So let's talk about. And we also had a coaching staff that refused to put anything around Bryce too. That was another problem. Of course, Bryce was his own worst enemy too in certain areas. He was a rookie, made rookie mistakes, and he also screwed up, on his own too. When he had open receivers and he actually was doing things, with proper protection. So let's not discount that. Right now he's a journeyman. We don't know what to make of him until we get the proper coaching. We don't know what to make of him until we get, an actual offensive scheme that works. But let's just say, for instance, we did all that and we made it work. Still, my issue was with the durability with the offensive line because the offensive line was not protecting our quarterbacks at all. We were making progress towards that, I felt like, with Brady Christensen and Cade Mays, but we still had a lot of work to do. And Nash Jensen is a new find too. Like, nobody told me Nash Jensen could play like that. Where'd this dude come from? I thought, okay, this dude's a practice squad guy. I ain't even taking him seriously. He comes onto the field in his last game against the Titans, and he starts balling out. And I'm like, whoa. We had this dude on the bench the whole time, and we didn't even use him with all this quarterback issues? Excuse me? No. No, Frank. No. You don't get to play this game with this depth chart no more because Tepper fired your butt. Watch him find another job. And watch him Houdini somebody else. I'm done with it, though. But let's say, for instance, we actually had a coach that knew what he was doing and was making progress towards fixing the offensive line. You still got the durability issue because the offensive line is what it is. But you look around the league, you got Justin Fields, who's 6'3", 228, missed 4 games with a dislocated thumb. Joe Burrow, 6'4", 215, on IR with a wrist injury. You got Daniel Jones, 6'5", 230, on the IR with an ACL. This year. Derek Carr, 6'3", 215, missed multiple games with concussions. Anthony Richardson, AR, 6'4", 244 on IR with an AC joint issue. Trevor Lawrence, who has had injuries before, 6'6", 220, likely headed to the IR with ankle injuries, Achilles injury. Aaron Rodgers missed basically the whole season with an Achilles tear, who's 6'2", 223. Kirk Cousins, 6'3", 205, on IR with torn Achilles. Ryan Tannehill, 6'4", 217, missed multiple games with a high ankle sprain. Kenny Pickett, 6'3", 220, set to miss multiple games with a high ankle sprain. Deshaun Watson, on IR with multiple injuries, 223, 6'3". And then you've got, on the bottom here, Bryce Young, who is 5'10", 204, missed 1 game with a rolled ankle. Russell Wilson, 5'11", 215, missed 3 games in 11 years. Garrett's whole point is the fact that all these people that are 6'2" and above are getting all these injuries, yet y'all want to complain about the shortness of Bryce Young and short quarterbacks getting injured. And he's right. He's absolutely right. You can't use that as an excuse anymore. He's got you. For the people that still don't get it, this man just absolutely destroyed your whole arguments on the Bryce Young being too short. He destroyed it. He annihilated it with this list right here. But if you're still not getting it, you're not going to. But let's continue on. Despite being one of the most hit quarterbacks in the league, Bryce has missed a single game and keeps popping back up. Despite being the most hit quarterback in the league from 2012 onward, Russell Wilson missed 3 games in 11 years. What do all these teams have in common here? They actually have offensive lines. And they're still getting murdered. Ours does not. And our quarterback has been hit so many times this year. Yet has only missed one measly game. Therefore, my concerns about durability are gone. And I'm glad. Because that tells me, okay, we picked the right guy. That was my only main concern. And we picked the right guy. Okay, so let him develop properly. Give him a scheme. Give him something to work with. Don't give him the island of misfit toys of wide receivers. Give him an actual system with good wide receivers in it. You know, that are only of that system. Such as an RPO. Go and get RPO wide receivers. You know, if it's a West Coast, go and get West Coast type receivers. It's not complicated. You need a certain type of coach that has a certain type of philosophy and has his own philosophy as far as what he wants to do offensively. If you're still that doggone determined to get an offensive-minded head coach, okay, fair enough. Eric Bellamy. He knows what he wants. He's got a system. Let him pick his own players. Don't micromanage him. Let him pick his own players. Or how about Ken Dorsey? If you bring him in as an offense coordinator, he knows exactly what he wants. Let him pick his players. Let him suggest his players, I should say. Let me amend that to let him suggest his players. Whoever you bring in. The GM should still have final say in who he drafts, who he picks up, and who he sticks with and who he doesn't. Stop letting these guys manipulate you, Scott. This is your call to make. Stop letting these coaches and offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators have more power than you. Work together as a unit. You know, it's interesting. When I watched the press conference of the Detroit Lions head coach, he said, we have a staff that is all on the same page. They're not divided. Let me say that again because I think a lot of people miss this, and they're still not getting it. This management in Detroit is all on the same page. Are you starting to understand the problem now in Carolina? We've never been on the same page all year. It shows. It shows, ladies and gentlemen. Here's the thing. Garrett says basically, cut the nonsense. You sound stupid. Bryce Young being on the smaller size isn't going to get him killed. Facts. Facts. I agree with Garrett on this one. What I was worried about was him taking the hits, though. You know, not his size. I never, ever said anything about his size getting him murdered. Ever. I said, can he take hits? That was my concern. Any quarterback of any size can take hits, but how well can you take those said hits? That's the question I've got. And that's the question that's going to be befallen of any quarterback that comes into Carolina. Should we happen to get a number one pick again? Should we happen to draft another number one quarterback? That's the question that we are looking at, ladies and gentlemen. And it's going to continue to be that way until we decide to hire the right coach that understands that building this line correctly matters a whole heck of a lot. And building that line to fit the system that you want to run. Not that you think in your brain might work, but it just might have happened to work on Madden. So you decide, oh, I want to run this and try to get some of these players. And, oh, look, this player is available. And when we go into free agency, it's like, ooh, look, a piece of candy. Ooh, look, a piece of candy. Ooh, look, a piece of candy. You got so distracted by all these brilliant players and these like gift horses out there that you failed to recognize what you actually needed for an actual system. Guys, it's not best available that's going to get us where we want to go. It's system players. The best system players. This coaching staff does not understand this. Chris DePore does. And let me tell you something. Chris DePore is actually making the most out of this roster based on what we have and doing something with it. He is somehow turning this absolute clown show and turning it into lemonade. And we almost beat the Bucks. Nash Jensen played well on this offensive line. Hidden gem. I meant to say Nash Jensen. I meant to say the Buccaneers. I'm sorry. Not the Titans game. But Nash Jensen played really, really well. And I gotta give him his due. Well, everybody else was out here getting flagged for stupid stuff. This man was not. You never saw one single flag for Nash Jensen, did you? No, because that man was actually doing his job. And when you bring people back from the bottom of the depth chart that actually belong at the top, surprise, surprise, this is what you get. But I digress. We're not here for that. We do this every week, so I'm not going to do that. Today's goal is to talk about the draftable players. So, let's learn about Jaden Daniels. Let's find out who this dude is. Okay. According to ESPN, he is 6'4", 210 from California. He has a LSU total for his time in LSU of 3,812 yards, 40 touchdowns, 4 picks, 95.7 quarterback rating. That's really great. I actually really like that. So this year, he had 236 completions out of 327 attempts. 72.2 completion percentage, 3,812 yards, 11.7 average, 40 touchdowns, 4 picks, 86 his longest pass. And those ratings are overinflated, so we're not even going to look at those. But it looks like consistently he's been really, really good. They let him fully run the offense in 2022 with 68.6 completion percentage, 266 completions out of 388, sorry, if I could talk correctly. 2,913 yards, 7.5 average, 17 touchdowns, 3 picks. His longest pass was 54 yards that year as a junior. I like those numbers. I'm not even going to hold y'all. I like those numbers. And it makes me think, LSU plays in the SEC. They've played against some of the most competitive teams in the SEC. You got Texas A&M in there now, too. In the mix. So, let's take a look. With a 9-3 overall record on the year thus far, 6-2 in the conference. That's really, really good. So he's played against Florida, Alabama, most likely Tennessee as well. The Ole Miss Rebels, and Auburn. So, these are SEC veteran teams that have been up there for a number of years. So now what? Where do people project him at? let's check the mock drafts. So we got the let's just see how we do. Let's open it up. And I'm going to stop it at the end of the first round. I want an idea of where everybody's going to land. Alright, I'm going to pause the draft. Now, we've got Caleb Williams. You've got J.J. McCarthy. Bo Nix. Jalen Daniels. Those are your four that are projected to go in the first round. You still got Shedeur Sanders from Colorado. You still got Michael Penix Jr. You got Quinn Ewers. You got Cameron Ward. That's all in the top 100 picks. Now, that's just strictly talking about quarterback. Now, defensive ends. What dropped in the first round here? You got Chop Robinson. You got Latu from UCLA. There's Jared Verse going to the Chiefs. And that's it of the ones that were projected so far. The ones still available. You got JT. You got Brandon Delores. You got Braylon Trice. Chris Braswell. And Adiza Isaac from Penn State. Those are the ones that are still going to be sitting there in the top 100 edge rushers. Of the picks that are projected. Now, if you're looking at wide receiver, you've got Marvin Harrison Jr. Everybody's familiar with him, I think, at this point. Malik Nevers from LSU. You got Keon Coleman. Rome Oduzone. Oduzone? I don't know how to say that name. Odunes? I think that's how you say his name. Odunes? Am I getting that right, folks? I think so. You'll have to correct me in chat. Odunes. We'll just call him Rome. How about that? That's easy to remember. Rome. Adonai Mitchell from Texas. You got Brian Thomas Jr. from LSU. Those are the ones that are projected on PFN. Now, you still got Ladd McConkey. You still got Egbuka from Ohio State. You still got Xavier Leggett, Troy Franklin, Xavier Worthy, Roman Wilson, Malachi Corley, Jalen Polk, Jalen McKillen, Devontae Walker from North Carolina, and Johnny Wilson. Those are your top 100 picks. Everything else after that is projected after 100. So for those wanting a wide receiver, that's what you're looking at. Now, for those wanting an offensive tackle or a guard, let's get into that. Because this is where I have to interject a little bit here. We're missing out on J.C. Latham. We're missing out on Joe Alt from Notre Dame. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that first name. Fashanu, Penn State. Amarius Mims from Georgia. Talise Fuega. I'm pretty sure I got that pronunciation right. Fuega. From Oregon State. And that's your tackles. Your guards that have been projected here so far in the first round. There was only one guard, and that was Troy Fautanu. From Washington. It's Fautanu, right? That's how you say his name, right? Fautanu. And look at the Tampa Bay Bucks trading up and getting Jalen Daniels at 30-year. That's fascinating to me. Look at this. Huh. But this is just one mock. You know, there's a lot of different mocks that could go different ways. But yeah, you got trades going on. Which this is an interesting thing. Ranking updates. Cool. Okay, so we have picked number 65. After the 33. So that's round 3. Top of the round, right? Alright, so this is what happens if we don't try to win meaningless games and we just let this team play things out the way they are. You know, put all our best effort into the game, you know, and just come up short. You know. Then we would have the first pick. Starting from the second round on down, we would have the opening pick. So Let's see. What do we need? Where do we start? Ladies and gents, I gotta be honest. I see a few options. Now, this is the interesting thing. Toledo is finally ranked and actually has a very interesting team this year. If anybody's not been keeping up with Toledo, let's show people what Toledo's been doing. They're not known for their football. I'm telling you, look at this. When you type it in and search the results, they are not known for their football. But let's take a look. You might be surprised to find that they are 11-2 in the MAC. Now, how did this come about? You got a weak schedule, really. You got some of this are legit wins. Some of them are just patty cake games, you know. But when they face an actual decent, mediocre team in one of the bigger conferences, say Illinois, you get that result, 30-28, 30-28 there, taking the L. But they played a decent game. They come back and they score 71 points against Texas Southern. This is a patty cake game. But that 71 points is a strong indicator. This is going to be a strong offense, you know, for the rest of the year. All right, so then you got San Jose State. You got to win there. Western Michigan, Northern Illinois. Look at this offense. 49 points, 35 points, 41 points. That's against Massachusetts. This is a very, very interesting offense here. For the majority of the year, you're looking at 30 or more points. And what does that say about the wide receivers? Okay, let's take a look at some of the wide receivers that they have. Newton is the guy that we're talking about, right? But you also have Mitchell, that's a corner. So I also want to keep an eye on that. There's Mitchell. For the year, he's got 32 solo tackles out of 41. He's got 18 pass deflections. Look at that. 1 interception. Well, well, well. I'm starting to learn something about these guys, man. I'm starting to like this. So in 2022, what did he do? 27 solo tackles out of 42. 5 interceptions. 2 touchdowns off of those. And 19 pass deflections. So this dude is consistent. Very, very consistent. I like what I see here. That shows me you're an open field tackler without help, and you can catch picks. But here's the thing: you haven't played anybody from the SEC. You haven't played anybody from the Midwest. You haven't played anybody from the ACC. You know, how do we know that you could stack up against some of those players and actually do well? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why I'm kind of like hesitant to go after people from Toledo right at the moment. But at the same time, you can't ignore 18, 19 pass deflections per year. You know, you can't ignore that. So, it's an interesting predicament. It really is. Sorry, I was trying to kill a gnat. Um, Interesting things here, man. I don't know. I don't know whether you fully trust a guy from the MAC right now to be your draft choice. You're more inclined to go towards an SEC team like Lassiter, maybe. Possibly a DJ James, from Auburn. Or Javon Bullard from Georgia. Maybe a Mike Sinstrel, from Michigan. Penn State guy. Oregon guy. Notre Dame. Florida. LSU. Florida State. All these guys would be more interesting to you because they're from the bigger power teams, conferences. So when you try to put some of these together, it's like, okay, wow. Suddenly Mitchell doesn't look that exciting anymore. When you put him up against a team like that, what does he do? I want to see how he did against Illinois, because that would tell me a lot. Game log. Yeah, how did you do against Illinois?
To the slot in the top of the screen.
He had 3 total tackles in that game and 1 pass deflection. So this dude is averaging at least 1 pass deflection a game. That's what we're seeing on screen here. This is nuts. He had 4 against one of these teams here. 3 against Miami, Ohio. 2 against Bowling Green. Okay, cool. You had 1 per game, and you had 2 against Miami, Ohio in the MAC championship. Again, you already put up 3, so that's 5 total against Miami, Ohio in 2 different meetings. And you had 5 tackles during that first meeting. Total of 7. Let's call it 7 solo tackles out of 8 out of your 2 meetings with them. Not bad, dude. Not bad. Okay, cool. But when matched up against a real team, how does Toledo do? That's my question. Who are they matched up ball-wise with? Their ball game. Who are they? Okay, so they're matched up against Wyoming. And Wyoming's not that exciting. They'll probably win that bowl game. Was this team ranked at any point? No. I don't think. They may have been. They may have been, but I don't know. It doesn't look like it. So if they're not ranked, they're not being taken seriously. Even with that record. Nobody's going to look at that schedule and say, oh, this team should be ranked. You know, it's like if Georgia Southern just randomly happens to go on a roll, nobody's going to look at that schedule and say, oh, these guys deserve to get ranked. Even though they go like 11 wins or something like that. Crazy. But see, when Appalachian State plays some of these veteran teams, they get ranked. You know, because people have respect for those players and what they do. Alright, so let's see what we get offers wise. We could move down 2 spots. We could upgrade that 163 to a 99. Tempting. We move down to 75. We're on 33. We pick up a 143. A second round and a third round from the Broncos. I gotta say, upgrading that 163 sounds real tempting. To go down 2 picks, who is Arizona going after? That's my question. I see Jeremiah Trotter from Clemson sitting up there at the top of the list. I'm very familiar with him, and yes, I do vouch for him. He can be an excellent linebacker for you. He's the son of the legendary Jeremiah Trotter, the Philadelphia Eagle. Yes, we landed him in Clemson. Yes, be very jealous, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not a Clemson fan. We got very lucky. That's all I'm going to say. We got real lucky on that one. And we are very, very happy to have him and be able to coach him up. So I'm just thrilled, you know, to see his dad sitting in the stands for these Clemson games and for him to be as successful as he has been. You know, it's just, what a joy, you know. You've also got Barrett Carter. I vouch for him as well. From Clemson. You got Cedric Gray from North Carolina. I like him too. I got a good taste of him during that Clemson-North Carolina game. I watched him for a little bit. He's a very, very electric player. And he can be a big difference maker. Deontay Lawson, I actually looked at him as well during a couple of Bama games this year. Very talented guy. I like Mondon as well. Mondon from Georgia. Very athletic guy. For his size, very athletic. You know, they got him at 6'3", 220. Yeah, very athletic and speedy guy. So there's some interesting players here. Uh, at corner. We got some interesting names at corner as well. So I'm going to go digging through some of these. Probably in my own time. I'm mostly going to be focused on offensive guard, offensive tackle, and corner. Although we did start fixing our corner problem with the return of J.C. Horn. And CJ's been playing a little bit better, but I would like to see one more corner that could upgrade on CJ. You know what I'm saying? So, for right now, our focus now becomes offensive guard and offensive tackle. I would highly recommend we fix the tackle position first. Well, you can do either one. You can do either one. I see Josh Simmons from Ohio State on here. But yeah. We'll take a look at some of these and see what we want to do. Spencer Rattler's down there from South Carolina. There's a few names that people really need to pay attention to, I think. Quinn Ewers from Texas. The big one. Michael Penix Jr. from Washington is somebody you should pay attention to. So, we got some good guys, man. If you want an electric running back to complement Chuba, Will Shipley is your guy. Will Shipley is your guy. He's a monster. I mean, Clemson has had no shortage of great running backs in the recent years. So if you want a guy that's in your own backyard that's just tearing it up, Will Shipley, yeah. I ship that dude, man. I ship that dude. For sure. You know, I got people from other teams that are looking at some of these names, you know, that I vouch for in Clemson. So, you know, I don't want people to get the wrong idea and think, oh, well, yeah, you vouch for this player, and we're not going for Clemson players, so let's go ahead and grab this dude. You know, that's what we end up seeing every year. And the frustrating part is, you know, the Falcons got AJ Terrell from us. You know, we did. The Jaguars got Trevor Lawrence. They got Etienne. You know, these are all players that we've had to compete against recently. You got Hunter Renfrow with the Raiders. You got DeAndre Hopkins, Sammy Watkins floating around the league. So, and then you got the Deshaun Watson trade. So, I mean, it's some crazy stuff out there, man. Some crazy stuff, and I vouch for all of these players. So, that's what we're dealing with here, and I'm not even sure what we're going to be going with, to be honest. I might actually vouch for us going after Jeremiah Trotter Jr. I think that would be a good pick at 33 if he's still there. I think that would be a great pick. Although I would not be mad at Cedric Gray. I would not be mad at that pick at all. Corner, you're still looking at a couple of options here. I've got to do my homework on a few of these guys, but I do like Lassiter. I do like Carson from Wake Forest. Bullard from Georgia. I like him as well. But I'd have to take a look at some of these guys, man. And Josh Newton would possibly pop up. Let's learn about Josh Newton real quick. I'm interested in Josh Newton. Let's find out who you are, sir. 6 foot even, 190 from Louisiana. 26 total tackles, 1 interception, 7 pass deflections. Okay. And this is coming from TCU, the college that produced Hodges Tomlinson. But TCU as a whole team ended up 5-7 this past year. So, learning about this player, he has had 33 total tackles, 26 solo tackles, 1 pick, 7 pass deflections this year. Okay, awesome. But let's take a look at his 2022 numbers. Now, this is where it gets a little interesting. 26 for 35 total solo tackles. 3 picks. 1 touchdown off of that. 57-yarder that he's allowed. And 12 pass deflections. 2021, he had 8 pass deflections. So, 2020, he's had 5, and his freshman year, 2. So, I mean, that number is just going up and up and up consistently. I like it. I like that. And he's had an interception per year. TCU is one of those teams that actually does go up against people, man. They've got some good good competition facing them. Oklahoma, Texas, Kansas State occasionally can come up with a good team. BYU can occasionally come up with a good team. West Virginia has been known to come up with something every once in a while. And then Colorado stomping the heck out of them. So, this is an interesting team here. And at the time Texas was is ranked 7th. Oklahoma's ranked 13th. So against veteran teams, let's see how he did. 2 pass deflections against Oklahoma. Not bad. 1 pass deflection against Texas. Look at that. Look at that. No picks against either one of those 2 teams. Alright, guys. So that is Josh Newton. I was massively into Hodges Tomlinson last year. So this is yet another TCU guy. And again, if you guys have any names that you want me to check out, put the names, positions, what college they're from, and why you like them in either the chat or the comments section. And we'll take a look at them. You know, like I said, this is the first stream of many that we're doing for this purpose of just learning about these players before the end of the year. And the way I see it is, it's never too early to start learning about these guys. The moment you are out of the playoffs mathematically, that's the point where we're going to start learning about these players every year. Unless by some miracle we make it in. You know, for one miraculously crazy year. But right now, I just don't see it happening. Because we don't know what we're doing. Alright. So. I just wanted to get that out of the way. You know, that's the first opening to many players that we're going to be looking up. Here in the future. And with that, I will end with this. We got a lot of work to do if we want to save this franchise. But it starts with Tepper. It absolutely starts with Tepper. The season's dead, but you know, where we are where we are. Tepper did this to himself. Shout out to Jamal Byrd. So yeah, very unhappy about the training camp being moved to Charlotte. Very angry. But what can I do? I'm just a guy behind a camera and a mic. I'm just a fan. End of the day, I have no more say than anybody else. It is what it is. But I did feel like it was a privilege to be able to watch my team play and practice, you know, in Spartanburg during the time that I've had that opportunity to do so. And I'm very blessed for those opportunities and chances to do so. I was very blessed to be able to stream in Monster Sub and Grub in Spartanburg. This hurts their business. This hurts a lot of different businesses around the area in Spartanburg by moving it out of Spartanburg. There's a lot of different people that this hurts, Mr. Tepper, and you don't realize that you're even doing it. You're supposed to be a businessman, but you don't seem to understand that either. I'm frustrated. A lot of our viewership came from the training camp stuff. So, what are we going to do now? Twice a year, I'll be traveling up there, getting a hotel room, checking it out, heading back that same day. But, I mean, best I got for you. I can do a live stream from that hotel room, no problem, you know, in preparation for that day. Or the day before. And just talk about, you know, certain things. But I don't want to do too much, you know, because I don't want to disturb people that late at night. So, I don't really know what we're going to do yet. It all depends. Well, we got a few months to figure it out, so. But if you got any players you want me to look up or explore right now for the draft, name of the player, the college they come from, the position that they play, and why you like them. Throw it in chat. Now's the time. Put it in chat. We'll be doing more of these streams. Like this one. Specifically tailored towards the draft preparation, so. If anybody's got any, come on with them. Come on with them. Chat's kind of dead tonight. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to probably do that. I'm going to combine that with the preview for the game coming up on Sunday. So with that being said, you know, we'll open it up from there. Any players that you guys want promoted or learned about, throw them in chat at that point. Or even in the comment section of these two live streams. Throw them in chat. I'll check them out. During a live stream, and I'll actively go through each one on stream for you guys, so that we can go through these players and learn about them together, you know, as a group. I would very, very much like to do that. I know Blitz may not be wanting to do that because of his schedule, which is fine. You know, but I'm going to do that for my channel because I want people to understand what we're looking at. And anyone from our team that helped out with the draft last year is welcome to jump into the chat during those time periods and learn about these guys with us. That way we can all get on the same page and work together, you know, in harmony to try to find this stuff. We may disagree. We may not be on the same page at times. That's fine. But I'm down. I'm down if you guys are. It's never too early, you know, once we're mathematically out. That's the way I see it. You know, we're not going to do round prediction as far as where these guys might end up. But if you have one, throw it in. You know, if you don't, you don't. That's cool. You know, it's too early for that yet. Because we don't know, you know, as far as what area picks that they may end up in. It's too early for that. Because we don't even know what pick we're going to have yet at the end of the year. So, until we know for sure what pick we're going to end up with, I think it's too early to jump on that. But, learning about the players themselves, sure, let's do it. You know? And we still got these bowl games to come up, too. So, if we want to scout any of these guys, that's our last chance to do so in these bowl games. So, again, any of these players, now is a great time. and we'll start checking out these bowl games and looking at them. And we'll have what, 2 or 3 people checking out these bowl games with me, and we'll look at them together and scout them out for you guys. And we'll give you the results of those scouting reports once we check them out, you know, based on our eye tests, you know, on stream. That's what we're going to do. That is our future for the next 6 or 7 weeks here. That'll make things more bearable for everybody and more interesting for everybody, because I think there's a handful of people that really, really enjoy the mock drafts and stuff like that, and all the information that we can give them. So let's do that. But yeah, thank you so much for all the support. Of course, it matters a lot. Let's go through a few of these scores from last week, and we'll be doing the same thing during the game preview, of course, but I just wanted to take a look at them real quick, just kind of go through them. New England beats Pittsburgh 21-18 today. Kenny Pickett struggling. So there you go. Alright, week 13 scores. We got Dallas over the Seahawks. Expected. Chargers beat New England by a score of 6-0. Man, that was a weird score. We got Arizona beating Pittsburgh. We got the Colts beating Tennessee. We got Houston beating the Denver Broncos. We got Detroit beating the Saints in a closer game than people thought it was supposed to be. We got Miami beating Washington by 1.5 miles. We got San Fran beating the Eagles by 1.5 miles, which is surprising. But that'll come back to haunt the Niners, though, in the NFC Championship game. Watch and wait and see. This is going to be a tighter game during that NFC Championship game than people think it will be. I guarantee it's going to be those two teams, too, because Detroit's tough, but they don't have quite the firepower that these two have. And when they go head-to-head, yeah, it's San Fran for me. San Fran's going to the Super Bowl, I think, this year. I just have a strong feeling. Strong feeling, y'all. We'll see, though. The Rams beat Cleveland. Green Bay beat KC. A lot of upsets today. Cincinnati over Jacksonville. Look at that. In overtime. In overtime, ladies and gents. How about that one? Well, well, well. Now that is something I was not expecting to see. Okay, though. There's a lot of craziness going on. So I'll go ahead and do matchup predictions. We'll see if they're different when we do the preview stream. Tampa Bay and Atlanta. I got Atlanta right now. The Colts and Cincinnati. I've actually got the Colts winning that one. Jacksonville and Cleveland. I'm going to go Jacksonville. funny feeling that Jacksonville is going to come back out of their slumber there and make some noise against Cleveland in that defense. Houston and the Jets. I've got the Jets in a surprise upset over your Houston Texans. You won't be looking for it. But that Jets team is tougher than that 4-8 record. Don't underestimate them. It will be your biggest regret of the year. Rams and Baltimore. I've got Baltimore. They're the stronger team right now. It's clear as day. They've got them. Detroit and Chicago. Detroit, obviously, takes home the victory. Then you got our Panthers versus the Saints. Obviously, the Saints. Vikings and Las Vegas. Raiders. As I've said many times, the Raiders are tougher than that 5-7 record. But I still think Minnesota comes home with that one with a win. San Fran versus Seattle. That's San Fran's game to win right there. No question. Buffalo and KC. I've got KC with a big recovery over Buffalo. Denver and the Chargers. I've got the Chargers over Denver. Dallas and the Cowboys go up against your Philadelphia Eagles in a big, big matchup. Sorry, I had to try to kill another than that. Big time matchup there. I got Philly winning. They've got more firepower. They're better. Green Bay, Giants. I've got Green Bay. Tennessee and Miami. Obviously, Miami. Not even close. It's Miami. Alrighty. Well, that wraps up your game predictions for the week. We'll go through them again during the preview stream, of course, for the game against the Saints. But we are back home against the Saints. Should be. No, we are actually in the Dome in New Orleans against the Saints, which makes it even worse. People are going to show up in drones to that one. It's going to be bad. It's going to be real bad. But the Saints are going to look like absolute contenders against us, which they're really not. It's just another team, right now, that think they're contenders, but once they reach the first round of the playoffs, they get knocked out. I'm not buying into the Saints. I'm not. I'm still not. I'm still not. I'm sorry. I'm not buying into them. You got to sell me on this team. Because just because they got a 71 win percentage on us does not mean that this team is spectacular by any means of the imagination. Yes, Kamara has 4 touchdowns and 508 yards. But, I mean, Derek Carr's not really been that impressive. 11 touchdowns, 6 picks, 2,761 yards is below the average, folks. You know, he's below the Mendoza line of everybody else right now. You've got Olave with 68 catches, 890 yards, 3 touchdowns. I mean, tough guy, but it's just not there. You know, it's not there for us. So, the tickets are as low as $14 on Vivid Seats. Plus fees, of course. Nobody wants to see a blowout. That's just me. You know. Alright, guys. Obviously, it's another year of nonsense, so I mean, the mission is still the same for this channel. It's still keep pounding and let's just keep grinding through these bad years till we find a good one, you know? Let's find the good in these years as much as we can, and if we gotta be toxic, we gotta be toxic, you know? It's just, it is what it is. I hate doing it, but, you know, if you can't find the good, what else is there left to do but call people out on stuff, you know? And not to be a jerk, but somebody's got to, you know? I've been kind of purposefully ignoring people's streams for right now until things calm down with this franchise, you know? Unless there's something worth looking at. But I'm going to be real with you. I have not seen anything that I really like at this point. There was that whole debate on Bryce Young and his footwork. I honestly did not make that big of a deal over that. I basically said, you know, when people sent that to me, I basically said, look, man, if David Tepper is worried about this man's footwork, I got a golden goose in my backyard to sell you. Because David Tepper don't even understand what's going on right now with his head coaching. What makes you think he's worried about something as small as footwork? You know, right now. As technical as footwork, I should say. Not small, but technical. Because footwork is a big thing. It is. In football. But I've also heard that Hayden Hurst could be medically forced to retire possibly because of his issues, and it's just a real shame. My thoughts and prayers go out to this man. You know, he's gone out there and helped other people with his first NFL check. you know, as a Carolina Panther. And now it's kind of going full circle where that money is going to help with his medical issues. So, and it's just a doggone shame, you know. I really, really love that dude, man. And I want to see the success for him happen, but he's got to get well first, you know, and this game has had a major impact on players. It seriously has, especially players that have had concussions and stuff like that. It's, man. I mean, just ask Luke Kuechly. Ask Thomas Davis. They know better than anybody. So, with that being said, hopefully things turn back around. Hopefully things get better for this franchise. But as of right now, we're stuck just trying to figure out what's going on and what's what. It's going to be that way for a while, folks. I hate to say it, but this is where we are. Alright, I'll see you guys in the preview stream, but I appreciate it. I appreciate all the love, all the new subs. Love you all. And, of course, as always, stay happy, healthy, and well. And just be you. You know what I'm saying? Just be you. That's what it's all about. Just keep pounding. Just keep pounding. See you guys in the next one. Shout out to Sean Bradham. Shout out to Jamal Bird. Before we head out of here one more time, appreciate y'all. Drop your player suggestions in chat. Let's go. Drop them in the comment section, and we'll check them out. Start of the next stream. Alright, peace, guys. I'm out.